You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. Welcome to Volatility Views, the premier program for volatility traders. Each week, we'll take a deep dive into the world of volatility with in-depth analysis, trading activity reviews, strategy breakdowns, cutting-edge education, and much more. We'll also bring you exclusive conversations with the traders, researchers, and asset managers who are reshaping the volatility landscape. If it involves volatility, then you'll find it on Volatility Views. Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. Unlike some guys, Tasty Trade puts traders first. Maybe you're the type to hunker down on your desktop for hours. Maybe you breeze by on your browser. Or maybe you just need that top-rated app right by your side. However you do it, Tasty Trade's got the advanced tools you need to tackle stocks, options, futures, and more, all in one place. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. See opportunity differently with interactive curve analysis. Use backtesting to learn from the past and plan for the future. The platform is only the beginning of better trading. You'll also find low pricing, lots of education, and backup from a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. And now, it's time to take a deep dive into the world of volatility. It's time for Volatility Views.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back once again. It is Friday. It is noon Central. It is 1 p.m. Eastern. Do you know what's going on in this crazy vol market? Well, let's find out together, shall we? It is time once again for Volatility Views, the premier program for volatility traders. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the network upon which so many of you folks are binging. Quick reminder at the top of the show for all you Vol Views hardcores, make sure you're subscribed to the full network wherever you're getting your favorite podcast. That'll get you a whole bunch of other fun stuff. We talk Vol a lot on the network, not just on Vol Views, even though we live in it on Vol Views. And of course, if you want to join us for the official after party last week, we had Mr. Overby crash it, all kinds of fun. You want to check out Options Oddities and all that other cool stuff. Awesome Pro Q&A earlier this week. Giveaways. Congrats to Chi-Town Indy out there for winning the October Pro Trading Crate. You want to get access to all that cool stuff. Legit exclusives that nobody else on the planet can get. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more. As we go around the horn, see who's joining us for another great Vol Friday. First, out to the hinterlands of Chicago, where we are joined by the man corrupting young and slightly older minds over there at Indiana University, none other than Mr. Russell Rhoads, a.k.a. the once, future, and present Dr. Vix. Mr. Rhoads, welcome back to Vol Views, sir.
As always, thrilled to be here. I'm going to be very quick because I'm very excited about our guest, and I want to hear as much as possible over the next hour from our guest.
Oh, you must mean this guy, the rock lobster himself, Mr. Andrew Giovinazzi, holding court from the Giovinazzi compound on the dark and stormy shores of Maine. Mr. Rock Lobster, I too am excited to hear all about you, sir.
Yeah. I don't think Russell is waiting for me, although I will give you the chicken count. I still have 5 chickens and 1 rooster I haven't lost another one since the Fox got mine a couple weeks ago. Got one of them a couple weeks ago. So if the viewers are wondering, I know my students care more about my chickens than me.
So we have chicken battles and clam piracy going on. Man, the shores of Maine, a violent place.
It's very dangerous. I got weapons, I got bows and arrows, I got a shotgun. It's just don't come by is all I can
wonder
say.
why you live in a fortress-like compound. Barbarians might storm the gate at any moment. We'll keep an eye out. If you vanish,
we are prepared.
If you turn around and run away with a torch and a sword in your hands, I'll know why.
Yeah.
And then joining us last but not least, our guest this week hasn't chatted with us in quite some time. I have to go see. It's been a while. It's been since, I believe, the Vixen War days, back when we were recording live at an RMC near you, all the way back in the dark pre-COVID days of 2017. My God, who can even think back such a long time, where we are joined once again by our old pal, Mr. Bill Luby, now hanging his hat as the Chief Investment Officer at some place called Luby Asset Management. Mr. Bill, welcome back to Volatility View, sir. It has been too long.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be back and great to see a bunch of familiar faces. Just a quick update that Luby Asset Management came and went in the interim period. So yeah, that was shut down about a year and a half ago.
Catch our listeners up. Obviously, it's been a while since we've chatted with you. Where are you hanging your hat? And what are you out there slinging these days? I'm guessing, if I had to guess, it's going to be cash-settled cheese futures.
Good guess. No, I'm, I guess, what they call semi-retired, which means I travel a lot more and I find places to test Starlink when the VIX goes crazy. And I now can confirm that you can actually get pretty good streaming quotes in Antarctica in the middle of a trade war. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm testing the geographic frontier of where you can be semi-retired and still have things go crazy.
You're living the dream. I always said the dream was to run a hedge fund from a beach at like Bimini, but you're testing that to the other extreme, running a fund or trading vol with the penguins in Antarctica. To each their own there, Bill.
Exactly. And us vol guys, we have to be flexible, man, for all seasons, right? So now I'm prepared for winter.
There you go, listeners. Now you have no excuse if you have a day job. Bill can sling VIX from Antarctica. You could trade on your lunch hour or whatever the case may be. Speaking of trading, let's get down to business. It is time for the Volatility Review.
It's time to break down the latest developments in the volatility trading world. It's time for the Volatility Review.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Volatility Review, the portion of the show where we do just that. We break down the week that was and indeed still is. Still a crazy week out here, listeners, as we're kicking off the show here. We saw some red earlier in the week on Wednesday, some pretty aggressive red. Then we saw, actually it was Tuesday, and then we rallied back again on Wednesday, then selling off again on Thursday. And then coming into today, everyone's like, what kind of day will we have? Will the sell-off continue? Or will Uncle Mike and his bull buddies kick back in? And the answer was no to the latter. It's the bears back out and sharpening their claws. S&P off 1.3% as we're kicking off the show. Dow off about 0.9%. NASDAQ off over 2, almost 2.15%. So things starting to get spicy out there. VIX cash, when we kicked off the show, hanging out right at about a 22 even. That's up exactly 4 points from where it was on the show this time last week. Listeners, our buddy Mr. Scott Nations just on the show with us recently. His straight at the money volley hanging out at a 1775, up 2.5 points from where it was this time last week. Even VVIX getting in on the action, of course, popping to about a 114 as we kicked off the show. Puts it up 8 points from where it was this time last week. So things are getting a little spicy out there, which means Bill picked a good time to return from the Penguins to talk about some vol. Bill, we will start with you, sir. Obviously, a lot going on in this market, a lot going on all year, and a lot going on indeed just this past week. What is catching your eye and lighting up your tape in the vol markets right now, sir?
Well, lots of stuff. It's kind of a macro focus for me, and I've been trying to see how many of these potential high VIX scenarios we can write off or write down or markdown as we look at kind of the playing space going forward. And I think really we're, the Fed seems to be cooperating. For the most part, the trade war stuff seems to be cooperating. And I think now the real remaining issue is what do we do with valuations / AI / the whole capital spending issue. And that's going to take a while to get our arms around. And I think that's going to be what's driving the vol space going forward. And kind of linked to that also is the whole earnings thing. You look at something like a Palantir or an AMD that report great earnings, and then suddenly they're crashing. So that, and that ties back to the valuation. So we need to get our arms around AI valuation, and that will, I think, help define the VIX space going forward. I think that's going to take a while to sort out.
Everyone seems to have an opinion on this. I'm sure you do as well, Bill. Everyone is either in the camp that, AI is the revolutionary force that the market is pricing in right now, and every time it's red on the screen, you should do naught but buy it. It's very much a buy the dip mentality. Hard to argue that's worked for the better part of the last 5 years pretty well. And then there's a lot of the camp. Mr. Rhoads is in this camp. A lot of other folks are a little bit, shall we say, leery of these valuations and maybe have been waiting for a while for a bit of a pullback. If you had to categorize yourself as in one of those camps, sir, where do you think you're falling these days?
I've been screaming that people have been underestimating the impact of AI for as long as I could remember. But in the last month or so, I've changed my tune, and I'm kind of neutral. And yeah, valuations are an issue space. So I think I'm certainly on the cautious side for now. I think long-term things look pretty good. The next year's probably pretty good too. But the valuation hiccup is really tough for me to put my arms around, again, to use that phrase.
So you're not thinking this latest dust up is the beginning of a cascade to the downside? You think we're good for the next year or two?
The earnings have been surprisingly impressive for me. The revenue beats, the earnings beats, the margins, all of it. And it's not just one or two players. And these are players, as you've probably beaten this horse to death with, that are paying out of operating cash flow. So I don't see it like, a 1999 kind of scenario. So I feel reasonably confident, to the extent one can be reasonably confident about this stuff, that there's a lot of meat on these bones, and the question really is going to be about valuation. And so far, I think based on the earnings, most of that is supportable.
It is interesting, you're right, because they are still putting out decent numbers, and yet these stocks, it seems like suddenly in the last week, even though Russell's been screaming it, I've been screaming it, Matt on our net, a lot of people have been screaming it for a while, that maybe these things are looking pretty lofty. It seems like just collectively in the last week, the street suddenly starting to wake up to these lofty levels are kind of high. Meta had decent numbers, but you can't just spend infinitely on AI with no return. Or Palantir. I saw a great headline about Palantir, and it kind of summarized it for me. They said, hey, Palantir, great earnings, completely uninvestable stock. And I was like, you know what? That encapsulates it completely. I don't care how much of a diehard you are. 650 PE is a tough pill to swallow, I think, for most people. So maybe at least for the last week or so, it seems like suddenly we've had a little bit of that realization. So we shall see.
I was just saying there's probably a related issue, and that is when you have CEOs who are, entrepreneurs and shoot from the hip, like Alex Karp and like Elon Musk and others. You're going to see a lot more volatility just based on the fact that they don't follow the typical CEO speak drama. They will create their own volatility just by opening their mouth.
And really quickly, just refresh our listeners, what is the vehicle through which you are expressing these vol viewpoints these days? Is it all VIX options? Is it on the futures? Are you hanging out in the vol ETPs these days? What are your weapons of choice?
Yeah, I trade a lot of the VXX is probably just because of its liquidity. I trade mostly VXX options, VIX options, SPX options, and lately a lot more NDX options, even though they're not as liquid, because I'm focusing more on the NDX than on anything else lately.
NASDAQ has certainly been moving out there, so it is definitely rewarding your efforts if you're out there slinging a little bit of NASDAQ. Small caps as well. Small caps also been rocking and rolling. Since we're talking potential bearish sentiment and being skeptical, let's go out now to the land of Mr. Once and Future Dr. VIX. I think you've been short since 2021, sir. You've been short this market?
Yeah. That's actually why we're having to downsize houses right there. It's kindly caught up. Maintaining my position through second and third mortgages. It's not smart. It's just not smart.
I admire your persistence, though. If I had a cap, I would tip it to you, sir.
So no, but I'm glad Bill brought the AI thing up, because I'm every November I do this road show in Indiana where they send some professors around and I talk about the equity markets, and I'm getting the AI questions. And my big issue with AI is I don't know where the big scalability that turns into ridiculous revenues comes from. I'll bring this up in lots of forums, and when I bring it up, I say I'm not challenging you. I don't want to debate with you. I just want somebody to tell me why they think AI is going to take over the world. And there's this old South Park episode where the underwear gnomes steal underwear, and then they say, "Why do you do it?" And they say, "Profits," but there's no explanation in the middle. And that's an issue that I have with AI. So since nobody's been able to explain it to me, I asked ChatGPT
to prove itself to you, prove your valuation to
and
me.
ChatGPT basically said selling the equipment or some firms realizing efficiencies. Neither of those are monstrously scalable type things like selling books on the internet. So I'm not. The valuations are kind of silly. Based on projections, my students asked me, how we were doing cash flow analysis, and they said, well, what would the valuation for Nvidia be based on projections? And the stock was worth $4 trillion at the time, and I came up with 3.8. I mean, it wasn't ridiculous, but that was based on every order that they've received, people following through on them, not canceling, et cetera. To Bill's point about just paying attention to the capital spending, that's what I'm focused in on all these earnings announcements. We saw the crack in the internet when Cisco started saying that they were seeing some order cancellations. That was the first thing. If you had shorted the internet stocks when they had that call, you would have made a mint. It might have been a little volatility for a little while, but that really was the beginning of the cracks. Nvidia's revenues come from 5 firms. 50% of their revenues come from 5 firms. I am paying very close attention to what those firms say with respect to capital spending. If it looks like they're going to scale some things back, I definitely, I'm not shorting these stocks. You don't want to get in front of that kind of a momentum, but definitely wouldn't want to own them anymore at that point.
Speaking of capital spending and your global vol tour, Bill, I just saw this morning you have to add in another stop to your itinerary, Christmas Island, because that's apparently where Google is spinning up their latest data center. So you could check the Starlink connection out there and sling a little VIX on Christmas Island. There we go. What's the return on capital of a data center on Christmas Island, Russell? Just shipping the servers out there alone is going to would cripple, I think, most firms. But I digress. Now let's go out to the shores. It looks like you're still alive, Mr. Rock Lobster. You survived so far into the show. The clam pirates and various other ne'er-do-wells hanging out on the shores of Maine haven't claimed you yet. Now, you've been surprising me of late. I know Russell's kind of in the skeptical camp. I've been in the skeptical camp for a while. But you've been surprising me lately with a little bit of your kind of Pollyanna-ish, slightly optimistic tone to this market, which is, again, not your brand, sir. So yeah. What are you feeling out there in the markets right now?
Well, I have been selling stocks that have done well. But I just always do. I sold the last of my Palantir this week before earnings, although it has been a surprising wonder, to be quite honest. I sold most of my Hood, which again, I thought Hood was a Bitcoin proxy, and then, somehow this whole AI thing seems to somehow have gotten mixed up with Bitcoin, and now you got these hyperscaler Bitcoin mining operations that are now going to do double duty for AI data center. I can't even invent how this cross-pollination has occurred. Or you remember when Oracle had that huge boom when I guess OpenAI was going to do something, spend $1 gajillion, and now Oracle has retraced all of that move.
Right back down again. In fact, that day we talked about it on our network, and people were loading up on 30 and 50 handle out of the money puts, and most of them paid. It was wild.
Yeah. So it's just, I think it's with anything any new technology. And there's been a lot of growth, a lot of spend, and I know Bill and Russell and we used to have like microchip business cycles back at some point, they went up and the cycle went down, and it was kind of predictable, and then I remember, you could buy DRAM, we called it DRAM back then. And when it was like $18, and then you wait until the next cycle and it goes to 100, you sell it and you do it over again. And like, wow, this was pretty easy.
Yeah, I worked at a hedge fund where we weren't allowed to own individual stocks for ourselves, and I would just go in and out of the SMH.
Yeah,
I did it 5 times. But
you can't do that anymore.
Best thing that I ever did until it did. And as Jim Bittman would put it, it worked till it didn't.
Right. And right now, I don't see. So again, the demand for semiconductors seems pretty, and I think that's kind of the new, whatever you want to attach your ship to, they're buying semiconductors of all stripes, still, it's still pretty bullish. And because those cost money. And so at least from that point of view, and nobody could have invented what happened with the internet and social media, that was all, none of that stuff really existed. And my kids laugh at me like, yeah, we didn't have phones connected to the internet. Like what? This is literally a whole industry appeared, like trillions of dollars of wealth, like multiple trillions, 10, 20, 30, 40. I don't even know how much at this point. So there's another alert. I think the market's going to end up the day green on the day, probably. I don't know how the AI think, but I know that, there isn't a business on the planet probably that doesn't use the internet at this point. And in 5 years or 10 years, there won't be a business on that, I kind of like it to Star Trek. You remember when Scotty would talk into the computer and then there was the movie and he laughed? He's like, oh, how quaint. I got to type into the computer to talk to it. Well, that's kind of where we are right now. And everybody's worried about, jobs. And I think it's going to make a lot of jobs easier. We still have copywriters. It just, it helps with my copywriting. I can now just dictate in 1,000 words in a couple minutes and then hit a couple buttons and do some editing. And I have a blog. So it's saving me like 25 minutes editing time. I still write the original copy, but I can dictate it now. So, that's one small thing. In short, I don't know. I think a lot of businesses will benefit from just being efficient. It also might make more businesses that have more personal contact do better because people are tired of talking to, the Borg. I don't know. But at least for right now, I think the biggest problem is Uncle Sam can't get out of the way. Literally poor governance from every party. They can't pass a budget. They can't tell people no. They can't figure out the healthcare thing. They can't do anything right. I'm just trying to find one thing they're doing right. And I think that is probably giving us the volatility too. I remember trading shutdowns as a floor trader, and you mostly just wanted to go to series and have a couple of beers and really not bother because there's no liquidity. Or very, very light liquidity. So that's what we have. All the markets are kind of slapping around, just waiting for this nonsense to be over. I think the biggest problem with VIX now is that we have a 21 VIX, but we can't get more than a 1% sell-off. Like we can't get a 2%. Normally you get like a 21, 22. Market goes down. We don't really, there's no guts to any sell-off, which just tells me it's really a liquidity. Just people are waiting for the stupid shutdown to end. So until we're done with that, and I don't see, how we get out of it currently, because since neither party really can get kicked out of office anymore, they can just sit here and argue with each other and not get anything done. So it's an odd impasse that we are at, but that is the state of our republic. And, but as far as bullishness goes, yeah, I think we get to 7,000 by the end of the year. But at some point, these the big five will, like all of these top tier stocks do, they will relinquish some of their level just because of, earnings and multiple compression. It always happens. And, maybe except for Amazon is the only one that really survived it for a decade. But for the most part, reality hits all these companies sooner or later.
All right, let's get out to the vol surface. That's where reality is always hitting us in the face week after week, listeners. And I just re-racked this for up to the minute numbers. As we kicked off the show, we did have that front future, the no future, up over almost 2.25 handles. Vol has come in a little bit since we started talking, as the Rock Lobster alluded to. Seems like the sell-off mitigating a little bit. Vol coming back to earth again a little bit. So as we're coming into this portion of the show here, we're seeing a VIX cash a little bit north of 21.5, right around 21.60. We're seeing that front no future right around 21.25. That puts it still up from where it was this time last week, but up slightly less. Instead of up about 2.25 points, it's up about 1.85 points. So still looking spicy, but slightly less spicy than maybe not ghost pepper, but more a habanero out there. And then our D's future going out 2 months is up about exactly 1 point from where it was this time a week ago. If we go all the way out to the end of our vol surface, listeners, at least for our purposes, let's go out to middle of next year. Let's go out to July, shall we? We're almost at a 23 right now, 22.80. We have been vacillating around that high 21, low 22 range in those futures for a while. So still hanging out in that range, if slightly more elevated out there this week. Mr. Bill, we will start with you, sir, when you're not hanging out with the Penguins. What is catching your eye out there on the vol surface this week?
Well, we have some backwardation the front 2 months, which is interesting. And I wouldn't get too excited about this. I know some people like to use backwardation as a signal that it's time to sort vol or whatever. But again, we've got the second month is December, and due to what I'm calling the holiday effect and, fewer trading days and just generally a history of Santa Claus rallies, you always see the December month relatively low. If you draw a line between November and January, December is pretty much always below that, artificially depressed. So yes, technically we have some backwardation. I wouldn't get excited about it. And then once you get 3 or 4 months out, the curve is pretty much flat. I mean, very, very slightly in contango for the balance of the curve. So yeah, some interest in the interesting things going on. The front month has been very, very it's been very volatile. It's been acting relative to the VIX. It's been acting, and where it is in the cycle, or about a little more than halfway through the cycle, it's been pretty twitchy. Interesting.
And Bill, you mentioned the seasonality in December. That's usually what we've come to expect. We have seen some folks playing a little bit of upside in Dees recently in VIX land. Russell's been speculating for a while, and we've been debating on the show. There is some potential for some dust up around the Fed, Powell's term coming to an end, who the next Fed chairman will be. Maybe that is the potential argument for a little bit of upside vol at a time of year when you usually wouldn't be looking for any upside vol. Doesn't sound like you're a subscriber to that notion, though. You're still looking for the seasonal downturn in vol in December, sir?
I wouldn't be the first time I'm surprised, but yeah, as a betting man, I would, between the Fed getting ready to turn over next year, between some of the decentralization stuff, tax return stuff starting to look more favorably on the next year, and presumably we'll have the government open by then, for better or for worse, and in Andrew's mind and the mind of many of us. So I think we'll see a little bit normality then, and we won't have another earnings cycle hitting us until the end of January.
You heard it here first. Bill says those D's 15 puts are safe this year in VIX. Every other month they've been terrible. But Bill says, bet the house, VIX D's 15 put. If I can read between the lines, sir.
And mortgage it 3 or 4 times in the true Russell Rhoads style.
Hell yeah.
That's just assumed. I mean, that's a given that you're doing that. Mr. Rhoads, same question for you. Your thoughts on the term structure, and also our friends over there at OCC putting out the numbers for October. These numbers are starting to get, the technical term is ridiculous. I mean, it's just wild to see these numbers. I mean, we were just super excited about the options market passing 1 billion contracts a month not too long ago. That's old hat. That's passé. October coming in up 50%, 1.68, almost 1.7 billion contracts in a single month. If you're new to the options game, listeners, that's pretty much 2x what the entire industry would do in an entire year not that long ago. So these are kind of wild numbers. But what drew my eye this week, Mr. Rhoads, is how long have we been saying that the VIX futures are a dumpster fire? They can't catch a bid. Everything else is up 25, 30, 50% year over year. VIX futures down 33%. We finally have an uptick in VIX futures in October, Mr. Rhoads. Nearly 6 million contracts going up, 4.3 million this time a year ago, so up 38%. So there we go. Apparently, the VIX futures drought is over, Mr. Rhoads. What say you?
I say that the VIX futures drought appears to be over for a little while. You can't disagree with that. That's what the numbers say. So, we have been talking about that December versus November relationship. I'm not one that often takes a victory lap, but I had been saying that, if I was a little worried about. So I was saying that, I felt like own in November if you thought maybe we get a little volatility spike, own in November, short December, just because the shape, this time last week, we were in normal contango, and I never would have guessed that the December contract was being priced where it was. All of that being said, I would not be uncomfortable owning November and short December over the weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some follow. I can't imagine any problems that'll make the market happy are going to get solved this weekend.
So just for the weekend, you like that trade specifically for the weekend?
Yeah, just I would not. Let's put it this way: if I had traded it, let's say I traded a 10 lot, I think I'd take half off and leave the half on for the weekend. I'd still be comfortable holding that, which I know is counter to what most people would think. But
a lot of things cooking over the weekend this weekend. We get to your weekend UVIX in a little bit. First, we go out to Mr. Wally here now, putting on his orange traffic cone so we can spot him in the traffic. Is it that cold? Is it that cold in Maine? You need the took, as the Canadians would say?
The took, actually, because my town, it's hunting season. So there you actually want to wear an orange hat.
You're afraid to get shot in your house?
Well, in the house or walking around the property, because it is deer hunting season. So those deers do get shot.
We should put out the video segments just so the folks can see the glory that is the visual side of Vol Views.
Yeah. I do this for my students too, because it's flannel time. It's flannel time.
Flannel season.
Do you do that because you're the one that always gets the girl in the Hallmark shows dressed like that?
Exactly. That's been the story of my life, Russell, actually, just somehow always getting the girl like that. So what were we talking about? VIX futures, the weekend, or the term structure? I can't even remember anymore. Bill's already so disgusted he's left it. He's got his hat. There he goes.
That's his traded VIX with the Penguins hat. Yeah, that's his Panama Jack hat. I like it.
He just needs a cigar now.
I need a sweet hat. I need a sweet hat in my studio. Let me look.
Yeah, you do need a sweet hat. Gosh knows what Russell's going to show up with. VIX term structure. We have a little flat curve. Every time the curve flattens, I always tell my students, that's the VIX telling you, the VIX term structure saying, we don't know what's happening anymore. We could be up, we could be down. And the first two terms flat. And I think, again, it's more of the same. Government shut down, government not shut down. And, it wouldn't surprise me to see that, VIX at least 2 to 3 points away from where we are in a week's time. But again, if the current situation kind of goes, the market keeps sliding down, VIX will slowly go up. However, if we get to some kind of a resolution, my guess is that, VIX will be 16 again, like it was 2 weeks ago. And SPY is back to, 685, 690, something like that. So, and I think the flat term structure is kind of reflecting that. But we wait. We sit here and we wait for our great speaker. Actually, I'm surprised we didn't even mention the greatest fund manager of all time, Nancy Pelosi, is retiring from Congress. Where are we going to get our NVIDIA signal? She's retiring at the top.
Paul's still going to be trading, so Paul's truly the best. Paul.
Yeah, but it's not the same without Nancy actually sitting in committee, you know. And, and it's funny, those bills keep coming up, yet nobody, no Republican or Democrat has the stomach to say no more trading stocks for us. Nobody can quite do it. Nobody can quite do it.
But no, they can't. And they also pay themselves during a shutdown, so a lot of moral integrity to be found there in the land of.
It's a good gig they got for themselves.
Speaking of things to be found, we have all these awesome, sweet hats that we send out to our audience, and they're all down in the vault. So I have nothing here in the studio. So I found an old Burger King crown somehow was in my studio. So I'm gonna rock this for the rest of the show, and I'll just pretend this is. I had an insider hat here somewhere. I don't know what happened. And I have hats for just about every entity in the planet, SIBO, OIC, you name it. None of them are here within arm's reach. So that's my own faux pas. I didn't realize today was the haberdashery edition of Vol Views.
Yeah, I do like Bill's hat. I do have my Smokey the Bear hat. I can get that on now. Hold on.
There you go. You got to put that on. Listeners, we might have to put out the video version of this just so folks.
I already took a screenshot.
Glory that is Vol Views. Is it glory right now in the land of VIX options? The answer is yeah, it's starting to look kind of heated out there, which you would expect when we're seeing multiple days of red out here. 875,000 contracts on the tape right now. That's pretty hot. The ADB is right up to about 950,000. It's up about 35,000 from this time last week. So, when VIX is threatening 1 million contracts a day, that something is up, listeners. Something is afoot. That is not normally sustainable volume for VIX unless things are really happening out there in the market. And we are clearly putting up some numbers out there today. Is it a hot week? Well, we'll get there in a second. First, let's break down our top 10. What is open for size right now in VIX options, you might be wondering? We're still hanging out, by the way. 8-2 calls over puts. So all this movement we've seen in the cash hasn't really shaken up our top 10 structure that much. It cost you 226,000 contracts to break into the top 10 today. That gets you to our old pal, the Jan 60. So they're still hanging out at the top of at the bottom of the list, at the number 10. They are the gatekeeper for VIX right now. Number 9, 242,000 of the Feb 47 half. So kicking it off with a whole bunch of fun. Number 8, 243,000 of the Nove 25s. Dare I say it, compared to most of this, some of the more reasonable paper in this list. Number 7, 261,000 of our first of 2 puts, the Nove 16 puts. Then number 6, 263,000 of the contract that Bill has given the green light to put all of your money into the Nove 15 puts for number 6. Number 5, 269,000 of the Nove 47 halves, right back to the fun. Number 4, 311,000 of the Dees 60s, 6-0s. Number 3, 326,000 of the Nove 35s. Number 2, 369,000 of the Dees 30s. And the big dog in VIX land right now, 408,000. So that's getting pretty sizable. Of the seasonally appropriate Dees 25s. And you know it's never appropriate, but we play it anyway. It's Russell's Weekly Rundown.
Now, Russell's Weekly Rundown. Now, Russell's Weekly Rundown.
All right, Mr. Rhoads, the floor is yours. Have at it with that sweet I Love Vol hat, sir.
I'm wearing one of them I Love Volatility hats. All right, Monday, VIX is at 1812. There's been a lot of attention around the 18 calls, not just the normal expiration, but the November 26th. Somebody bought 4,000 of the November 26th 18 calls on Monday with the VIX at 1812 for 237. Remember that number. We'll come back to that. Tuesday, VIX at 1935. Somebody bought the December 3rd 35 calls for 67 cents, sold the same number of the 80 calls for 14 cents. Got a 35.80 bullish call spread with a net cost of 53 cents. I know 35 is way out there, but if VIX is in the upper 20s or lower 30s, in late November, early December, wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they have a decent profit on this thing. They can always just sell the 35s and probably not worry too much about the 80s if they've got a cool risk manager. And I did write a note to myself that this is, we've seen a few of these lately, but they've been opposite. It's been selling like a 30 or a 35 call and buy, but this was, so maybe, maybe it was like, said, I kind of like that pricing, and the market makers had adjusted for more buying than selling of those. And They like the price that way. Late on Tuesday with VIX at 1879, I'm pretty sure this was an exit trade. Somebody bought 1,000 of the VIX November 5th. They basically settled the next morning. 21 calls for 9 cents and sold the 25 calls for 2 cents. That was a cost of 7 cents. Went backwards, and in late October, it looks like somebody sold 1,000 of those 21s at $1 and paid 57 cents for the 25s. So they had taken in a credit of 43 cents. And just so, just probably to sleep a little bit better on Tuesday night, they decided to take it off. And they still had a profit of 36 cents. Remember the Monday trade, because here we go. On Wednesday, with VIX at 1771, someone sold 9,500 of the VIX November 26th, 18 calls. The open interest basically went down to about 100. So I'm pretty sure whoever put these on exited it, and they sold them at $1.90. So they took a 47-cent loss on several thousand of these 18 calls. I don't know what happened on Tuesday that made somebody come in and go, you know what? I don't like this position. Let's get out of it and let's take a loss on it. Goodness knows if they had held it through today, they'd be pretty happy. I question if that would be one of those VIX tourists. They still show up every once in a while, and we love their money. Also on Wednesday with VIX at 1737, somebody bought 2,500 of the November 12th, 42.5 calls for a nickel. Opening trade, single trade, doesn't look completely stupid right now. I mean, we still, if we get weekend follow through, who knows? They could sell them for a dime. On Thursday with VIX at 1933, I didn't like this trade, but goodness knows it looks pretty smart right now. On Thursday with VIX at 1933, somebody bought 500 of the VIX November 12th, 13 calls for 705. Which is the equivalent of buying the futures for 2005, if you think about it, because that's the break even. So, some time value on that one. And then a little bit later in the day, VIX was down at 1898. And I guess if they liked him at 705, they loved him at 690. They bought another 500 at 690.
Hey, you got to buy more if they're coming down, right?
Yeah, exactly. Loved them there, hate them there, etc. But the break even on that's 1990. So basically, somebody owns 1,000 of the in the money calls that expire next week. 13 strike. They're about 8.5 in the money right now. I'm not looking at the bid, so I'm not sure where they could possibly get out of them. But wasn't overly wild about that trade just because of that time value in there. I was like, why don't you just go buy some futures? But it's working for them, and more power to them. And then today, it's funny. It like 8:35, I looked and there were no weekly bot trades. And then 30 minutes before the show, there were 7 pages of them. So lots going on. And with VIX at 2158, somebody sold 5,000 of the November 12th, 18 puts for 15 cents. I think that's an exit. I think somebody's just owned the puts, hoping for the drift. And and it's actually, the volume at this point is actually more than the open interest. So somebody might be also taking a short position, but a sub 18 VRO doesn't look very possible for next week. So I think that was a salvage trade.
Bailing on the 18 puts. Got to say, the super producer. I'm glad to see you corrected our faux pas, because the super producer heard us and she found some sweet hats to bring into the studio. But then we had a faux pas, Mr. Rocklob. You and I were rocking the same hat from across the country. So the same.
I had to switch.
You had to switch. I understand. We can't be clashing hats, on the show like this. That's a basic Vol Views fashion tip, right?
Yeah.
All right. To the land of VIX options we go. It's been a pretty spicy week. Spicy day today. Again, closing in on 900,000 contracts already. The hot option out there today, about 70,000 of the 18 half puts, followed by number 2, 66,000 of the 18 puts. Number 3, 33,000 of the 16 half puts. So you'd be thinking, looking at this top 5, the Vol's just falling out of bed today. Kind of interesting. Number 4, 32,000 of the Nov 35s. There we go. There's some upside. And number 5, about 30,000 of the D's 30s. So wild prints out there today. Yesterday, Thursday, 684,000. The day started off hot. Over 500,000 contracts by the time we got to it on the option block, and then it just kind of sputtered out the second half of the session. Ended out 684,000, so obviously shy of that ADV. The hot option, nearly 30,000 of the Nobe 16 puts. We put those out to you. There's a lot of OI on that strike, so someone could have been bailing, like Russell was saying earlier on those 18s. But we said, hey, Nove 16 puts for 9 cents. That price, you want to buy them or sold to you. I didn't expect a lot of sellers. We had more than I thought. Ended up 59.1% wanted to buy them. 40.9% wanted to sell them. So there are more sellers of 9-cent options in VIX right now than I would think. Then again, 16 handle. Bit of a ways out there. Number 2, we had 25,000 of the D's 19 puts. Number 3, 23,000 of the Nove 18 puts. Number 4, 23,000 of the D's 24s. And number 5, 21,000 of the Nove 17 half puts. Not a strike we talk about very often. Wednesday started off hot again, then kind of faded as well. 573,000 contracts on the tape. The hot option out there, 60,000 almost of the Nove 25s. Then number 2, 30,000 of the Nove 16 puts. Number 3, 30,000 of the D's 50s. Number 4, 28,000 of the Nove 16 halves. And number 5, 19,000 of the Nove 18 puts. Tuesday, 1.25 million contracts on the tape, listeners. Again, so an absolute banger out there. A lot of that driven, over 500,000 contracts driven by a 25-30 vertical that went up again 271,000 times out there. So absolutely wild stuff out there in VIX. So obviously, that's over 500,000 contracts. You take that away and things get a little bit lighter. Number 3, 76,000 of the D's 18 puts. Number 4, 67,000 of the D's 19 puts. And number 5, 22,000 of the Nove 17 puts. All right, out to Monday now. Was it a hot day on Monday out there? 564,000 contracts is your answer. It's not exactly the spiciest day on record, listeners. And what were your hot options? Number 1 on Monday, 29, almost 30,000 of the D's 18 puts. Number 2, 23,000 of the Nove 30s. Number 4, 20,000 of the Nove 60s. Number 5, 15,000 of the Nove 25. Number 4, I can't even count it. Number 4, this hat's throwing me off. I'm not used to wearing a hat. Number 4, 15,000 of the Nove 25s. And number 5, 15,000 as well of the D17 puts. All right, let's roll out of that really quickly. Mr. Rock Lobster or Mr. Bill, is there any notable VIX options paper that came across your radar that made you scratch your chin and say, this week?
I have to be honest, nothing that would make me take a third mortgage out like Russell's new T-shirts are going to be.
Or the D.
You don't have conviction until you've taken your third mortgage out for the trade. That is not a conviction trade until then. To be honest, I just stopped looking at November because it's such a disappointing contract for me at this point. It is dead to me now currently. That's what I think of activity. It will be the least exciting contract because these knuckleheads will stay bound up until through November. So I will start looking at December next week again. There I am. There's the bitterness coming through.
Are you just mad about your 17 puts, sir?
It's 16 puts I thought I bought for nothing that should have been the easiest money in the world. Wrong. At least I paid almost nothing for them, but they'll still be worth nothing. So there we go.
Bill has guaranteed us these 15 puts are going to hit this time. So
I believe I will listen to Bill because he is usually right all the time. So I'm gonna go with Bill.
And he's got a sweet hat. How can you disagree with a guy? He looks kind of like
my black hat.
My insider logo now. That's what he looks like now.
I'm going to prove.
All right, out to the land of vol ETPs, shall we? And Bill, you said you like VXX. That's your primary vehicle. Any other vol ETPs that are really coming across your radar these days?
For the option space, I pretty much focus on the VXX. Sometimes the UVXYs, but it kind of depends on proximity to strikes. If there's some sort of issue, that I might prefer the VX, or sometimes the price, where they see some reverse splits to create a little more action, that sort of thing. So the VXXs in the 30s are kind of in the sweet spot for me.
VXX, Russell's favorite product. Let's run through some of the vol ETPs, shall we? Our old pal SVIX inverse vol looking a little bit lighter this week. Obviously 18.25. Again, another good week to overwrite some of your SVIX or just sell it entirely, obviously. We'll get into some of that on oddities coming up immediately after the show. So if you want to get in on that action, head on over to the pro listeners, talking about our SVIX and everything else. SVIX was at 18.25 when we kicked off the show, down 1.25 points. It has drifted up a little bit up to about 18.40 as the show has gone along, putting up 5,500 contracts so far. So a day's worth of volume, as light as it is. And then Russell's beloved UVIX was at 11.5 when we kicked off the show, up 1.25 points, giving up about a quarter point of that now, about 11.25 out there. Had put on about 40,000 contracts as the show had kicked off, up to about 51,000 now. Mr. Rhoads, what's catching your eye in your beloved SVIX? And do you plan to do your UVIX fun again this weekend?
Doing the UVIX trade definitely for this weekend. Set my little alarm a couple of minutes before the market closes. Have continued to sell calls against SVIX, and I continue to own SVIX. So everything's working, kind of the way that I guess it's supposed to. That's just continuing to do what I do. And I don't hate VXX. I just don't trade it.
Mr. Rock Lobster, are you doing what you do in SVIX and or UVIX right now, sir?
You know what I like, SVIX? I would like zone 1. I would like the bottom quartile, to see the bottom quartile of volatility before I get excited about SVIX. Although I do have a position in it. That thing doesn't make some real hay until vol gets into the 12 handle. I just remember the Thompson brothers. You make the big dough below 16 and above 20 in VIX. You need those moves to get going. And right now, SVIX gives you good love once you start seeing the low, but we have not seen the lower quartile of VIX, I think, all year. So,
what does it take to get there?
I like to. I think you mean the number or the.
Is it a moving? I don't know that much. Is it a moving thing?
No, I just want to see like 1390 or below.
Okay, we ain't been there.
And yeah, we're not going there. So, and that's what. And once you get to that lower, that lower number, I think that's when the futures really start to melt. And there's such a huge percentage of decay as the value of the product. And then SVIX gets slaughtered, or goes up, or VXX gets slaughtered again pretty nicely. I think VXX has been stuck around 30 now for 3 months or something like that. So I would like to see the zone of the monk before I get interested in SVIX again. So I like to see a lower vol print, and I don't know when we're going to see that.
Haven't seen it yet. Hasn't stopped everyone from throwing away tons of money on the 15 puts every month this year so far. And according to Bill, Deeth is the month. Deeth is
with. I'm going to go with Bill. Hopefully it's right. I mean, I've done it 12 months in a row. Why might as well? Might as well 11 months. Might as well go 12.
Why stop now? Keep the record. Keep the streak alive. Mr. Bill, we have finally gotten to your beloved VXX. 36 1/3 right now. Was up about 2.25 points when we kicked off the show. Giving up, I should say, almost half a point of that right now, up about 1.85 points. Putting up about a day's worth of flow already, 40,000 contracts. So doing decent paper. The ADV is only 41,000, so it's already at that. I'm sure, Mr. Bill, there's a lot of questions out there. A lot of people have grokked to VXX over the years. They love that downside put trade in VXX. What is your weapon of choice? How do you like to approach VXX these? Are you just straight long puts, or you got something else cooking?
No, it's funny. This wasn't me who made these trades, but we were talking about that 271,000 contracts, the Deeth 25-30 call spread. I really like selling call spreads at or out of the money. And when you look at in another week and a half, the December becomes the front month, so that suddenly our contango, which has had the breaks because of the holiday effect, when December becomes the front month and the contango, typically you get the highest contango of the year in December. So we could be looking at a 10% contango all month, or a 20% or for UVIX kind of guy. So that sort of product, that sort of seasonality, at the money, out to the money, call verticals, short. That's a trade I like.
So short VXX call verticals. Yeah, we don't talk about that a lot here on the show. We got to keep on rolling, though. It is time to get wild. It is time for the crystal ball.
It's time to peer into the future and reveal what the volatility gods hold in store. It's time to look into the crystal ball.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Crystal Ball, the portion of the show where we get wild and attempt to predict what the vol gods hold in store for us for the coming week. Last week, it was myself, it was the Greasy Meatball, it was Dr. Vix, and the options guy. And I was the closest. I was actually feeling a 20 handle this week, and but not close enough. I was at 20.35, and then Brian was at a 19, Russell was at an 18.15, Sebastian was fading the hell out of it at 15.51. Coming into the end of the show, by the way, the sell-off mitigating a little bit, listeners. We have Dow off about 1/3%, S&P off about 2/3%, and the NASDAQ off about 1.15%. So a little bit of the markets coming back a little bit, and vol hanging out right now at about a VIX cash, I should say, hanging out at about a little bit north of 21, about a 21.13 out there. So kind of interesting stuff out there. So obviously no 20 1/3 handle. So that means, Bill, as our guest, you didn't get a chance to lose last week, so you get the pride of place of going first. What are you feeling for this time next week from a VIX cash perspective, sir?
I'm feeling a low to mid 18, so let's pluck a number out of the hat, 1821.
1821, an interesting number out there. Mr. Rock Lobster, you are next, sir. What are you feeling for this time next week?
Yeah, I think we're going to have more of the same next week unless we have the end of the shutdown. So he's going 1821. I'll tell you what, a great year, 1899.
Yes, an excellent year.
Yeah.
Everyone knows you're going to party like it's 1899, right? There we go.
I was going to go 1999. I feel that's a little too high.
Too high. Okay. And then I was closest. I guess I'll go last. So Mr. Rhoads, you get to go next.
I'm going 20 3/4, and I would like to note that Dusty Rhoads' father, Carl Emerson, was born in 1899. My grandfather.
Oh, there we go.
That's right. It sounds a long time ago, but that's just 3 generations in the tree that is the Rhoads family.
The vol tree. And then I shall go last. Listen, I'm still feeling a little bit of spice, not unlike Gretchen. And I don't hate where I am this week, but I'm going to go a little higher, even though that squeezes on Mr. Rhoads a little bit. I'm going to say 20 double, 20.55. So squeezing in on Mr. Rhoads, but what can I say? Gretchen horning in on my territory. So there's your market this week, listeners. 20.75 for Mr. Rhoads, 20 double for me, 18.99 for the Rock Lobster, and 18.21 for Mr. Bill. All right, that music means we have come to the end of another journey through the world of vol. Mr. Bill, it was great talking with you. We'll have to do it again more frequently than once every 7 to 8 years.
I'm not a cicada. You can call me anytime.
Well, we don't know. You might be hanging out on Christmas Island. Might be a hard to reach guy, sir.
That's awesome.
True story. I actually connected once in Christmas Island on a flight from Fiji, but that's another story.
There you go.
So I almost set foot on it.
If you had traded one lot of VIX options, you could have added it to your map of where I've traded VIX around the world, sir. And in the meantime, if folks want to keep up with your semi-retired vol musings, where should they go? What should they do?
Probably the best thing to do these days is Twitter. I'm Vix and More. I still have a blog that has cobwebs on it, but I keep it open for anyone who wants to get a historical perspective and that sort of thing. And I may get inspired someday, move the cobwebs around and go back to more long-form writing.
Oh, there we go. So VIX and More is still kicking, listeners. Get on over there, kick the tires and light the fires. Check out Bill's work and give him some traveling suggestions where he should trade VIX options from next. Maybe the top of Mount Everest. I'm just saying, there's some cool spots to sling a one lot of VIX out there. And Mr. Rock Lobster, if folks want to check in on your travails against the clam pirates and perhaps be flashed in the dark alley 5, 7, or 9 times, where should they go? If people just listen to this, they don't know what I'm talking about. They must think that's what's going on over there.
Yeah. All kinds of products, weekly profit cycles, flash 5, 7, all things going here. You want to trade VIX and SPY and see how they all work together. Check out optionpit.com. I actually do all the trades I recommend. So I know it's hard. Actual service that does all the trades, but somebody got to make a living somehow.
It's good. Sometimes you need someone with a shoulder to cry on when you're all watching those 17 puts go to die. You can commiserate. It makes it fun, right? Makes it feel good.
We just watch them all die together. It's
exactly.
It's nice.
Somehow it feels less painful that way.
Yeah, it's like the embers in the fire just going away.
Check them out, optionpit.com. And Mr. Rhoads, if folks want to check out all of your vol musings, where should they go? What should they do?
I'm kind of like Bill. If I do things, the best way to find out that I've done them is I just put them out there on Twitter. During the program, I've been co-authoring a paper about VIX during government shutdowns, so might have something to talk about next week.
Why would you possibly write a paper like that now, sir? I can't understand.
Because I reached out to a conference in Honolulu and I said, would you guys be interested in me presenting something about this? And they said yes, so there.
Oh, there you go.
Go to Hawaii,
Honolulu
that's why.
And there also might be a shutdown or two happening right now that could have inspired.
Exactly.
So there we go, listeners. Keep an eye out for that. Maybe we'll get an early taste of it on next week's Vol Views. That is going to do it for us. Like we said on the Vol Views, if you're hanging out in the Pro, just hang out. I'll be back right after this show for the official after party of Volatility Views, known as Options Oddities. You want to check it out for yourselves. Only one place to go, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. But then we're not done. We come back after the closing bell to break down all the days worth of action on the Hot Options Report, aka Thor. Check out the sweet new URL, thehotoptionsreport.com. If you love some good free data, listeners, and this is some pretty good stuff, I would warrant it's probably better than what a lot of your brokers are giving you out there. If you want some sweet options, activity, and flow data, thehotoptionsreport.com, the place to go. It goes right along with the show, and you can't beat the price. It's free. Check it out, thehotoptionsreport.com. Then we're back again on Monday with our usual array of content. Till we're back again next Friday, another episode. Volatility Views. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. Unlike some guys, Tasty Trade puts traders first. Maybe you're the type to hunker down on your desktop for hours. Maybe you breeze by on your browser. Or maybe you just need that top-rated app right by your side. However you do it, Tasty Trade's got the advanced tools you need to tackle stocks, options, futures, and more, all in one place. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. See opportunity differently with interactive curve analysis. Use backtesting to learn from the past and plan for the future. The platform is only the beginning of better trading. You'll also find low pricing, lots of education, and backup from a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.